a lot of the content creators that are in the periphery, quietly watching the events that are unfolding, their hope is that it just inevitably goes away. I think what they fail to recognize, that the lack of counter messaging from progressive voices on this platform, out of understandable fear that they might be harassed endlessly by some of these rabid monsters.
It's crazy. He just steals every talking point. Holy, like, harassed by who? Remember, Ryan Beard made a video on me, probably got over 1 million views. Okay, sorry. 832,000 views, okay? He made this video on me. Ryan Beard went to make one video on Hassan and got harassed so badly, he quit the project. Hey everyone, so I've decided to put making a video about Ethan and Hassan, LOL. When I announced that I was working on a video trying to give a level-headed perspective on the situation, critiquing everyone involved, couldn't even critique everyone involved. It wasn't even a one-sided video. I didn't expect that I would be by Hassan and attacked by the H3 Snark subreddit for weeks and get a bunch of threats in my DMs. I've kind of realized that everyone on the internet is super entrenched in their opinions on the stupid drama war, and no one is really interested in hearing me try to give nuanced takes on it, and I kind of just want to swear off talking about leftist/liberal and fighting in general. I like how he tries to kind of sort of both sides it, but anyway, free Palestine. If y'all want to think that I'm a liberal Zionist, I think Bana Panada is a disgusting psychopath for his history of doxing and brigading and threatening to people and harassing people and saying the left should care less about anti-Semitism. You can feel free to see me that way. And if you were to call me for backing out, you would probably be right. I just think the online left is an absolute right now, and I just want to move on and do my own thing. Like, Jesus Christ.
Has created an environment where the most loud voices you hear are the likes of Asmongold. And there's only one person who is actively in the top regularly duking it out with these people, and that person is ritualistically humiliated.
Bro, you don't duke it out with anybody. You are hide on your platform and try to debate 14-year-old Israeli people from your chat or commentary people when you think you can actually win. Who do you duke it out with? You are like the most cowardly, huge political figure on the internet. What are you talking about?
Regularly duking it out with these people, and that person is ritualistic.
He doesn't even fight his own battles. He got iDubbbz to make that content cop for him and then abandoned him when he nuked the entire creator clash as a result of it. Holy.
Humiliated with ridiculous smears over and over again and turned into a toxic pariah. What do you think happens at that point? If the only voices of political discourse is far-right voices, and the only major voice of progressive politics is a guy that those far-right voices are explicitly attacking with regular frequency, from the audience's perspective, they don't actually understand where that silence comes from these other content creators. They don't see the way the sausage gets made. They don't know that this is out of real fear of harassment.
Like, who? The only harassment that these people have gotten would have been, I guess, if you want to say, like, Ethan Klein's lawsuits. But other than that, it's just a few people yapping on Twitter. Replay, he's talking about Twitter.
Is a guy that those far-right voices are explicitly attacking with regular frequency. From the audience's perspective, they don't actually understand where that silence comes from these other content creators. They don't see the way the sausage gets made. They don't know that this is out of real fear of that they do not want to invoke. So they think, oh, everybody's right-wing. This is cool. Reading an AI script? Yes. I'm reading an AI script.
In the online pantheon of talking heads, few spectacles are more grotesque than the man who lifts another's words, dresses them in new cadence, and parades them as original. This is not homage. It is theft masquerading as conviction. It is the hollow echo mistaken for an authentic note. And Destiny, perpetually forced into the role of unwilling progenitor, finds himself once again staring at a mirror where the reflection is not his own face, but the pale mask of Hasanabi, repeating his sentences, drained of substance yet inflated with self-importance. It is maddening, for the theft is not simply of language, but of labor. The hours of debate, the nightly grind of parsing complexity into consumable points, the intellectual sweat poured into a community that has, for better or worse, come to rely on one man's willingness to argue with anyone, anywhere. And then comes Hassan, unscarred, unbloodied, lifting the harvest while pretending he tilled the field. Around this theft hovers a constellation of quieter creators. They watch, they hesitate, they rationalize. They hope the storm passes without touching their shores. They know the risks of speaking, harassment brigading, endless digital mobs hurling threats with the joy of arsonists. So they choose silence. But silence is not neutrality. Silence is complicity. And in this silence, Hasan thrives. For when others refuse to speak, his voice fills the vacuum. His borrowed words become the dominant narrative, not because they are right, but because they are repeated the loudest. The tragedy is that these quieter voices are not weak. They are thoughtful, nuanced, sometimes even daring. But they are afraid. Fear is the coin of this realm, and fear buys silence. No figure embodies this tragedy more than Ryan Beard. He approached the ecosystem with cautious optimism, armed with the intent to critique evenly, to offer balance, to remind audiences that fairness was still possible in a landscape addicted to partisanship. And yet his attempt was met with fire. For daring to question Hasan, for even suggesting Ethan Klein's orbit might warrant scrutiny, Ryan was drowned in vitriol. Threats in his inbox. Derision across platforms. A swarm not of reasoned disagreement, but of rabid loyalty. Blind devotion masquerading as activism. Faced with this tide, Ryan did what any rational man might do. He walked away. He abandoned the project. He retreated. Not because his ideas were weak, but because the cost of expressing them outweighed the benefit. This is the ecosystem Hasan cultivates, not one of discourse, but of deterrence. Critics are not debated, they are harassed. Dissent is not engaged, it is punished. And so one by one, potential voices fall silent. The Ethan connection only deepens the rot. Destiny sees clearly what others tiptoe around. Ethan's orbit grants immunity. To criticize him directly is to invite his defenders, a cultish brigade armed not with reason, but with derision. To even brush against his alliances is to risk becoming the target of memes, subreddits, endless mockery. And in this immunity Hasan finds cover. For if Ethan remains untouchable, so too do his collaborators, his friends, his sycophants. They form a shield wall against critique, a phalanx of personalities whose combined audience makes honest evaluation nearly impossible. The result is a monopoly on narrative. Those within the circle dictate the story, those outside risk exile or worse. Hasan loves to posture as the gladiator of progressivism, the lone champion battling right-wing titans in the arena of ideas. He paints himself as a martyr under siege, standing bravely against the tide of reactionary rhetoric. But destiny calls the bluff. For the so-called battles are theater. Hasan chooses opponents who cannot match him. Teenagers, straw men, commentators with half-formed arguments. He engages not to risk defeat, but to guarantee victory. He does not enter hostile terrain. He invites children into his own home turf, where the outcome is never in doubt. The true duels, the grueling engagements with skilled adversaries, the debates where reputations are on the line, those belong to destiny. He carries the scars. He bears the humiliations. He knows what it means to step into combat without a guaranteed win. Hasan, meanwhile, sits atop stolen talking points, declaring himself conqueror of battles he never fought. It is not enough for Hasan to steal. He must also deride. Destiny notes the ritual humiliation, the smear campaigns, the endless attempts to paint him as toxic, pariah, irredeemable. The strategy is transparent. Delegitimize the origin so the imitation appears genuine. If the well is poisoned, then the thief can drink freely without fear of being accused of theft. And so destiny endures a cycle both absurd and cruel. His words are lifted. His enemies claim them. His reputation is trashed. And then the world forgets the origin, believing the thief to be the thinker. This is the economy of humiliation. You diminish the source so that the echo can reign. The broader tragedy lies in what this dynamic does to political discourse. When the loudest progressive voice is built on borrowed thought and shielded by harassment brigades, the result is stagnation. Innovation dies. Nuance disappears. What remains is a shallow, performative discourse where the same points are recycled endlessly, packaged as fresh insight, sold as courage. Meanwhile, thoughtful creators like Ryan Beard vanish. Others stay silent. The periphery waits. And into this vacuum steps not new voices but opportunists like Asmongold, gaming streamers and variety entertainers who suddenly become political commentators simply because the space is empty. The online left becomes defined not by its best arguments but by its most marketable personalities. And audiences mistake volume for strength. Destiny's anger, therefore, is not mere ego. Is not the tantrum of a man upset that another uses his lines. Is the frustration of watching a discourse he helped build collapse into spectacle. It is the irritation of seeing rivals claim battles they never fought. It is the exhaustion of enduring humiliation while imitators enjoy applause. To create in this environment is to live under siege. Every word can be stolen. Every idea can be stripped of credit. Every attempt to challenge the status quo risks harassment, lawsuits, defamation. And yet, to remain silent is to let the thieves reign unopposed. This is the impossible position destiny occupies. Speak and be punished, stay silent and be erased. And what of the audience? They see none of this. They do not understand the sausage making, as destiny calls it. They think silence means complicity, that absence means agreement. They do not see the harassment campaigns. They do not grasp the risk. To them, the narrative is simple. Hassan is brave, destiny is toxic, Ethan is untouchable. They consume the performance and call it truth, unaware of the machinery of fear and theft that sustains it. This blindness is not accidental, it is cultivated. The ecosystem depends on an uninformed audience. The less they know of how narratives are controlled, the easier they are to manipulate. What emerges from all this is a cathedral of borrowed words. Its pillars are stolen talking points. Its stained glass is harassment campaigns. Its altar is the ego of Hassan, standing tall and declaring himself champion of debates he never fought.